My name is Jessica, and for as long as I can remember, my family only ever saw me as the holiday chef, the one who carried the weight of every gathering, the one who spent weeks planning, shopping, cooking, and serving, while everyone else sat back, laughed, and enjoyed themselves. But the truth is, I never felt like family at those dinners. I felt like hired help who was never paid, never appreciated, just taken for granted. And it all came crashing down one Christmas, when I decided to finally let them feel the emptiness and panic they had been blind to all these years, and maybe then they would finally understand that I was not their servant but their daughter, their sister, their flesh and blood, someone who deserved love, not obligation. My family wasn't cruel in obvious ways, not the kind you read about in horror stories, but they were cruel in that casual, cutting way that eats at you slowly until you no longer recognize yourself. My mother, Linda, was always quick to remind me that cooking was what I was good at, while praising my younger sister Emily for her career success and my brother Jason for being the life of the party, and Dad, Mark, well, he barely noticed me at all except to ask if dinner was ready, and year after year, while everyone else bragged about vacations, promotions, or new relationships, I stood in the kitchen, apron stained, hands blistered, back aching, pretending to smile through it all as if serving them was the highlight of my year, when deep inside I was drowning in resentment, bitterness, and loneliness, because no matter how hard I worked, it was never enough, never acknowledged, never reciprocated. The breaking point came the Christmas before everything changed. I had stayed up for 3 nights straight making sure the turkey was perfect, the pies were flaky, the casseroles hot and bubbling, and while the house filled with the scent of cinnamon and roasted garlic, my heart filled with nothing but exhaustion. And when Emily arrived late, dressed in designer clothes with gifts that dazzled everyone, she laughed and said, "Jess, you're so lucky you don't have a demanding job. You get to do this every year." And everyone chuckled, even Mom, and I remember gripping the carving knife so tightly my knuckles turned white, because in that moment I realized they thought this was all I was worth, this kitchen, these meals, this invisible role of servant cloaked as daughter. That night after everyone left, after they kissed each other goodbye and thanked me half-heartedly, leaving mountains of dirty dishes for me alone, I stood in the silence of the wrecked kitchen and cried so hard my chest ached, and in that moment I promised myself, next year will be different. Next year they will see who I am without the apron, without the trays, without the endless giving, and they will regret how they treated me. So for the first time in my life, I planned my own Christmas, not for them, but for me, and I didn't breathe a word. When November came and the first texts rolled in, "Jess, can you do the ham again? Or don't forget the mashed potatoes. Yours are the best." I simply replied with short answers, no promises, no enthusiasm, just silence where they expected devotion. And as December crept closer, my siblings debated menus in the group chat as if I were invisible, as if I were already preparing everything, and it made my blood boil, because it showed how automatic my sacrifice had become to them. On Christmas Eve, while they all assumed I was basting turkeys and arranging tables, I was actually packing a small suitcase, booking myself a cozy cabin in the mountains 2 hours away, with snow outside the window and a fire crackling in the hearth, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. I turned off my phone, left the apron hanging in the kitchen, and drove away into the night with nothing but peace in my chest. The next morning, as the sun lit up the snowy trees, I sipped coffee slowly, savoring each moment of silence, and only then did I turn on my phone to see dozens of frantic messages. "Jess, where are you? The oven's not working right. What do we do with the turkey? Emily tried to make mashed potatoes, but they're like glue. Please call us. Everyone's hungry. The kids are crying. Jessica, this isn't funny. You're ruining Christmas." I scrolled through each one with a smile, not out of cruelty, but out of a deep, long overdue satisfaction, because finally they were panicking. Finally they realized that the glue that held their picture-perfect holiday together was me, and without me, they were helpless. Hours later, Mom called, her voice tight with desperation, and she said, "Jess, honey, we need you. Nothing's right without you. Please just come home and help us." And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilt. I felt power. I felt seen, because they had finally admitted it, and I told her calmly, "No, Mom. This year I'm spending Christmas the way I want, and you'll just have to figure it out." And I hung up, leaving her stunned silence on the other end. That night, I cooked only for myself, a simple meal, nothing extravagant, and I ate slowly, savoring every bite, because for once the meal wasn't about feeding others, it was about feeding me, nourishing me, reminding me that I was worth more than burnout hands and hollow thank yous. Over the next few days, the texts shifted from panic to apologies, from frustration to guilt. As Emily admitted, she had never realized how much work went into the dinners. Jason said the house felt empty without my food, and Mom even confessed she had been unfair, treating me more like help than family, but by then, I didn't need their words, because I had already found my strength in their absence. When I finally returned home after New Year's, they were different, quieter, softer, more careful around me, as if they had been shaken awake by a truth they could no longer ignore. And for the first time, they offered to host the next holiday, to cook, to clean, to give me a seat at the table instead of chaining me to the kitchen. Revenge, I realized, doesn't always come with shouting or grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as stepping back and letting people drown in the void you leave behind, because only then do they understand the depth of your worth. And that Christmas, the one I skipped, was the year my family finally saw me not as the holiday chef, not as the background character, but as Jessica, the woman, the daughter, the sister who refused to be invisible anymore.